then he's going to curse you. That's what he's going to do. Satan is stating that Job is only loyal because God's giving him a benefit. That's what he's doing. So, which part of what Satan says is a lie about Job?
A lie?
What is the lie?
That he loved God just because God was protecting
Personal
him.
benefit. That's it. Everything else is true. But it's the motivation for it. Right? So, the next thing that happens is what?
God gives him permission to touch all that he has, but not
Job.
Right. So,
no, to kill him.
the first test is
Not to lay a hand on him.
possessions. And the second test is health. Okay. The two biggies. Those are the two big things. So Job did not sin. What does this response for Job actually say about him?
The words that he says when everything is taken away, is that what you're asking?
He did not sin.
He did not sin, he worshiped God.
He did not sin. He did not sin, nor did he blame God.
That's amazing.
Bless the name of the Lord.
He blessed God. He did not blame God. He worshiped God. And did he grieve?
Yes.
He sure did. Okay. The second chapter. The second confrontation. Satan is saying something I think is pretty profound. It's in verse 4. What does he say?
And for sin, yes, all that a man has, he will give for his life.
So basically what he's saying is he won't curse God because he's afraid to die. That's what he's saying. If I curse God, I'm going to die. He's going to lose his life. That is such a ridiculous statement.
Was thinking that. What?
He just lost his whole family. Sorry. All of his possessions, all of his ways. And you think you'd be afraid to die? I think I'd want to die. You know, why do I keep going? I've lost 7 sons, 3 daughters, everything I have. And you want me to keep going? I'm just saying that's a ridiculous statement. But
No, I think he asked for it.
Yeah.
So that would be a relief.
Yeah.
Job, well, don't I?
Yeah. He's not, he won't curse you because he's afraid you're gonna take away his blessing. Well, wow. So, what is it that happens in verse 6 of chapter 2? It's a very important little transition there.
You can harm him, but you can't kill him.
Right, spare his life.
I'll just say you can't kill Job. You're not going to get, you don't have the right to kill him, but you can, what's he going to do instead? Destroy his health. So wealth and health, those are the two main things. If you think about everything that happens to men, it is going to be in one of those two categories, right? His family, his friends, his family, his health, his wealth, or his health, or his loved ones. Now, he gave him these sore boils from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. I looked that up. And the commentator I read, which is Bible Knowledge Commentary, that's what I'm using, the Bible Knowledge Commentary. I really like it, it's good. It's a form of malignant leprosy that was referred to black burning boils. It would be the worst form of leprosy that you could possibly get. I mean, you just can't get anything worse. It's like skin cancer and leprosy together, basically.
And you can't be around anybody when you're at that book.
Yeah. But he's sitting out, where is he sitting when his friends?
In the ashes.
Which would be outside the gate with the poor people.
Which
The
is probably
beggars.
the best place he could be sitting, because whatever he's sitting around was burned and terrified.
Right. There you go. Right. So Joe,
There's a good point to that.
cancer boils.
You know, when you talk about from his head to his toes, I'm sure that they were like internal as well as external.
Yeah, probably.
That, you know, you think back to your grandson when he had
Oh yeah, when he had that really bad thing that I can't remember what it's called now. Monkeypox.
yes,
My grandson had monkeypox.
in his mouth.
It was serious, scary. It'd be like monkeypox. Only
And
worse.
he was in a lot of pain. He could not
Absolutely.
sleep because of the pain.
Couldn't eat. It was terrible. Now, he says, he's just sitting there, right?
Like scraping himself.
Scraping himself.
I'm going, good night.
So gross.
And then here comes his wife. Now, look,
He's lost everything.
she's lost everything.
And
It's
his
like-
children.
And
No.
also she's watching her husband suffer.
Yeah. So can you, you know, you can expect wife to be mad. So wife says, curse God and die. Probably she and her friends are coming to her and say, oh, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. And they're all like hugging her, like, how could you go through this? She's like, they're all saying, if he would just die, it'd all be over. You know what I mean?
Also would end the suffering that she's watching him go through.
Yeah.
Be-
That's what I mean. Yes, it'd be horrible. So when she says curse God, it's actually defined as reject the life you have lived for this God. That's what it means.
She wants to blame God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would want to blame him too.
Yes.
I mean, it's a pretty big deal. And, you know, that word for integrity that, you know, she used in there is only used 5 times in the Old Testament. 4 of them are in Job, and 1 is in the Psalms. And that form, that use of that word is defined as the completeness of God. So why aren't you rejecting what you call God completely ruling your life? The completeness of God in your life. That's what you basically say. And he says to his wife, you're foolish. Hey, I mean, see, at that point, I would have been like, are you kidding me? I mean, wow. And what does he say?
He said, should we just thank him for good, not adversity?
Yeah. The only good and reject the bad. You can't accept the good. You can't only accept the good, you also have to accept the bad. The things that happen. So we'll go back to, why did God allow this to happen? Because he already knew Job's character. And we know that God does not put us in situations to make us fail. So here's the thing. It says, when we look at the order of events, God and Satan have a confrontation about Job. God allows Satan to test Job. First, it's the loss of wealth, the most important being his family. Then it's the loss of health, which is heaping sorrow upon sorrow and incredible pain. Then it's his wife, who is understandably bitter and angry. And then comes his very concerned friend. I'd be like, I don't know. I'd be like, oh my goodness. It says, in all this, Job did not what?
Sin.
He did not sin with his lips. He didn't say anything against God. Wow. I don't know if I could do it. But you know what? I don't believe God would put me in a position to make me fail either. Right? There is a comfort in that, is there not? There is a peace in that when you start to think about what it is that's being said here. So here come the friends: Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar, and also Elihu. The commentators said that Elihu was much younger than the friends, and Eliphaz, they're listed in order of age. So Eliphaz would be the oldest. And so here comes the friends, and they are worried about Job, as I would be too. And they're coming to comfort him. So what's so interesting about this? They're shocked when they see him.
They don't even recognize
They
it.
don't recognize him. And for 7 days, they did not speak. So that is the traditional day, that's mourning. So for 7 days, they would be mourning with him, and they would not be speaking. And then we get to chapter 3. And this is always so interesting to me. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say about chapter 1 and 2? You know, I wish she had just done chapter 1 and 2 as one lesson.
Yeah.
You know, because there was so much, but I understand why they did it that way. But I'm going to erase this, and we're going to talk 3 through 5 to the best of our ability. And here's the deal: if we don't get all the way through it, you know, we could try to add it to next week, but really, we're just going to move on, because that's the problem with this. I would have done this book in like maybe 12 weeks, not 8.
I wondered why
I don't
we
know.
didn't stop.
Can you, okay.
Yeah, it seems like it should have been we should have spent like a week just on chapter 1 and 2. Because, you know, chapter 1 and 2 are pretty controversial in church. Because people don't want to believe that God would allow his children to be tested like that. I thought he was supposed to protect us and keep us from being harmed, right? That's what most people think, right?
No, I think God allows tests.
Absolutely. But like this?
And I never
Yeah.
did think that I was gonna live in a bubble the minute that I accepted Jesus in my life, you know, everything was gonna be wonderful. Well, if you pay attention to the world outside, then you know from faithful people
Right.
that this is not what happens.
But what is it that the church generally teaches?
Your life will change.
Oh, everything's gonna be sunshine and roses.
But if you take a
Okay.
look at life, it's just like the weather. You have the rain, the snow, the sleet, and then the sun. You have death, and then you have growth, and you have life. And how can you not appreciate what is good unless you go and
Do what's bad.
through what's bad?
And this is spoken from a room full of women with a lot of
With a
experience.
lot of experience.
But when I first got saved, I was told just accept Jesus and everything's gonna be great.
And it doesn't just
But
because
it's
of
great.
But
tell
that's the
a
thing is,
pastors
Right.
give and life will be great.
What is gonna be great is my life when I die. When this body
Or-
dies,
But
I
if you
say
said,
different. I say your life will be better today because you have hope. You're not doing this
that's
alone.
true. But when my life
But
will be
our-
perfect and sunshine and roses will
It's
be
coming.
when
I look at it when you first said, and everything is wonderful. That's like a newborn baby being held by the mother. Smiles, I'm getting hugged, I'm getting taken care of. But then the baby learns to roll over and to crawl and to walk and to stand up and to fall. And then you go to school. And that's like our growth with God because
Right.
we have to, like a child, we're going through all the physical and emotional steps that a child goes through. It's the same thing with her growth with the Lord.
it's so easy to say that from this perspective.
Yes.
It is.
And that's the thing that we've got to recognize. When people, I just wish you could see that number of times that I go into the prison and this person gets saved and they're going to be, I read that book, Job. What does that say about? They're just totally freaked out. Like, who is this God that does stuff like that? I mean, is he going to do that to me? Is he, I mean, it's like, it's so little understanding. And I think,
I have to think that what you have to learn, like when you accept Christ and you're expecting things, I think what you come to learn is that I wouldn't be able to handle this if I didn't have Jesus.
that's
Or
right.
would you have this?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
would, you would
Right.
have nothing.
You would
Right.
have nothing.
Right.
And you've been around people like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you
Right.
don't do it alone.
No.
You may
Right.
have tough times, but you don't do it alone.
Right. And that's that's the thing. That's what we want to look at. So,
You do have tough times and sometimes you do feel like you are alone. Just look at this. I mean,
But-
Job, his friends weren't much friends. His wife wasn't very helpful. But the thing is, you got Jesus.
right. Right.
That's the difference.
And his faith, he was comforted by that because he knew he had God.
So, what are the first 3 verses about? What does he start out with in chapter 3?
Cursed the day he was born and the night conceived.
First, the day he was born, the night he was deceived. I would say that's a pretty straightforward understanding of how Job felt. And I don't know that I would have felt any different. He said, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. And he said, let the day perish on which I was born, and the night which said, a boy is conceived. May that day be darkness. Let not God above care for it, nor shine light upon it. What is he saying there?
Just erase it.
Don't give me any attention. Why did God pay attention to me? Let darkness and black gloom claim it. Let the clouds settle on it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for the night, let darkness seize it. Let it not rejoice among the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. Behold, let that night be barren. Let no joy shout enter it. I mean, it's like, golly,
He was a total reversal.
But he's not cursing God.
he is not cursing God. So it's very
That's such a typical human reaction when tragedy comes.
obviously,
Just so his why am I alive?
That's what he's saying.
When I read it, it sounded a lot like somebody ready to commit suicide.
It kind of did, didn't it?
That
It kind of did.
I mean, that he had no hope. He really, it was like he had no hope.
Yeah.
And that why am I not live? That is, where is it? Why do not perish at birth? That's like verse 11.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Verse 11 and 12,
His
16.
humanness,
Yes.
his human reaction
Yeah.
just
I'm-
overpowers him.
And I can't say that I haven't said that myself.
Of course. And you know what? One of the things that I thought about when I read this is he's saying, I want to be free from the curse. From this curse. That's what I think he's really saying. And I think the other thing that he is saying is that it would be stop caring about me and let me die. He's basically let me die. I think that is pretty dang normal.
Not to me, for a lot of us, if I've gone through this stuff, it's just like, just let me leave. Let me leave this land. Let me
Yeah.
give up above and
Yeah.
stuff. Enough already.
Yeah. If you were going to title this chapter, what would the chapter be titled as? I think I didn't bring my book chart. I should have brought it. What would you title this chapter as?
My wrote that he cursed the day of his birth.
There you go.
He was hopeless.
Hopeless. Curse the day of his birth. That's what he's saying. He says in 11 through 19, what's he saying there?
He longs for the grave as a release.
Why didn't I die at birth? I would be saying that right away. And then he says in verses 20 through 26, what is he saying there?
Why should I go on?
I think those verses, when I looked at those verses there, 20 through 26, I thought, why are you giving me a means of survival? Right? Why is light given to the one who is suffering? I'd be asking that, why are you doing this to me? This is 26.
But I also got that he was also saying that he was fearing God more because of those thoughts.
Right. Right. He says, as we read it, why is light given to him who suffers and life to the bitter soul, who long for death, but there is none. I can't seem to die. And I thought that this would kill me, basically. And he says, and dig for it more than for hidden treasures. I would rather die than be wealthy. That's what he's saying.
Is he talking to God?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who rejoices greatly and exult when they find the grave? He's saying that's a relief. Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden and whom God has hedged in? That's very interesting because he said, what did Satan say? You put a hedge
You
around
put a
him.
hedge around him. And now he's thinking God to put a hedge around him to keep him in this horrible place.
Exactly. When you start thinking of that is really what it is. God hedged me into this horrible situation. It's God that put me there. That's exactly what he's saying.
But when he was talking to Satan, didn't he say, like, you don't do anything to Job? He's not allowed to do anything.
He's not allowed to take his life.
Not
Right,
allowed
he's not allowed to kill him. So God is going to keep him alive
just because he's gonna keep him alive, right?
Whatever has happened is not enough to kill him. Whether God's preventing it or he prevented Satan from doing it, he's not going to die from it. Now, does
And
Job?
Satan knew it wasn't gonna kill him. Because Satan knew it wasn't, because Satan wasn't gonna do,
Well, Satan,
when God
he
said
wasn't
don't
gonna-
kill him, he wasn't gonna kill him.
He wasn't. He knew he would not be allowed to do that.
Right.
But he is. What it? Look, do you think Satan wanted him to die? I don't think he did.
No, I don't think so.
No,
What he wanted to
because
do.
he's trying to prove a point, and if Job dies, he still has not cursed God.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He
Right.
still has not
That's
rejected
exactly
God.
right.
And that's probably why God, for some reason, this keeps coming back to my mind is that when Jesus was in the garden and he kept asking his father,
Take this stuff away from me.
if you can take this stuff away from me. And that's what Job is doing here. Can you take,
Why must I go through this?
the suffering, the agony,
That's a lot.
Jesus needed to die to rise again, but Job wants to die because he knows he'll be with God,
Well,
or that his
whatever
God
he thinks
is going to be better than what he's at right
Yes.
at that moment.
right.
He's at the point where, nothing can get any worse than this,
Well,
and just wait and see.
when we look at what he says, why is light given to him who suffers, and life to the bitter soul, who long for death, but there is none, and dig for it more than hidden treasures, who rejoice greatly and exult when they find the grave. Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, and whom God has hedged in? That is so important. He has boxed him into this, and he knows that it's God doing it. For my groanings come at the sight of my food, and my cries pour out like water. Well, he can't eat. He can't even probably drink very much. For what I fear comes upon me, and what I dread befalls me. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet, and I am not at rest, but turmoil comes. He's basically saying, why is your purpose hidden from me? Are we?
Bless you.
Huh?
That was fun.
Somebody
What-
must have their.
Okay. In verse 25,
Uh-huh.
he says, for what I fear comes upon me,
Yes,
and what I dread befalls me.
yes.
We've already said, he's not afraid to die.
What
But
he
is that
saying?
what he's talking about?
No, I don't think he's talking about that.
Okay.
What is he actually talking about? You do know, we're looking at it.
The pain and suffering. Pain and suffering? Loss away from God? What?
Loss of relationship with God.
Okay.
What he is saying about here is what I dread, which would be failure before the Lord,
Okay.
has become upon me.
Now, God is allowing this to happen, but God is not doing it. I think
Correct.
that's really important.
Yeah.
Whereas, he's sitting here thinking that God is doing this.
Well,
From what you were saying, the words you were using,
ultimately, God is allowing it, which means God is doing it ultimately. But he's doing it by allowing Satan to do it. Not one thing that Satan does is outside of God's plan.
Yeah. He
right,
has to have his permission to do it.
So ultimately, God is allowing it. But why did God allow it? Because what does he know about Job?
He won't fail.
He won't fail.
Yeah.
He won't
There's
hurt
no
God.
one like him on the earth. So we have to ask, why is the book of Job in the Bible? What purpose?
I
does
think
it
all
serve?
purposes are to show us, to show everybody that there will be suffering, and my purpose will prevail in the end. And I said, you won't die from it.
God will give us everything we need to overcome it,
Overcome it.
And don't give up.
and don't give up. Because if I'm his, then he will protect me. If I'm not his, he will show me the way to become his. And if I reject him, I have brought death upon myself.
I read a little bit about rest because some comment I said he's seeking rest from this, and I read that rest is the absence of conflict, and obviously that's what he would like to have. But God's salvation is rest.
That's right.
So I think ultimately he
That's
finds
one of the
that
points
rest.
they made in this, in Job chapter 3, who is there? Job was written thousands of years ago, birth, ministry, death, and resurrection of Jesus, the Christ, the Messiah. And yet, he would have had rest, and he would have been the kings and the counselors who had their testimonies.
Right.
And he's talking about infants that never saw light.
Right.
And they are at rest, and the
Right.
prisoners are eased together. And he's talking like,
Cease from striving.
yes,
Cease, the determination of where
but
you
this
are.
is what it will be like.
Yeah.
When you're with God.
Right. Exactly right. That's it is a
So the wicked cannot trouble you.
That's right. Yeah, and he wants to know God's purpose in this. That's what he's saying in the end of that.
Yeah.
Chapter 4, we're going to move on.
Yeah.
Our life as wonderful man that he is. All righty, let's. Now, the Temanite answers. Now, this is where we start getting into the understanding of what's being said. Boy, I tell you, what a guy. And he's got chapter 4 and chapter 5.
Now, is he considered the oldest?
It's the oldest. The oldest speaks first.
Okay. Gotcha.
Doesn't mean he's the wisest. I think the youngest is the smartest one in the bunch.
Yeah.
Of course, I've gotten there, so I do feel, even though, yes, he's got some things to say. So Life as says, well, and I'm just going to say because one, he's talking about himself. If I venture a word with you, will you become impatient? But I can't keep from speaking. That's actually what he's saying. Behold, you have admonished many, and you have strengthened weak hands. Your words have helped the tottering to stand, and you have strengthened feeble knees. But now it has come to you, and you're impatient. It touches you, and you're dismayed. Is not your fear of God your confidence, and the integrity of your ways your hope? I thought that was one of the most important little statements, because what did Satan say?
If you take all of it away.
He's going to curse you.
Yeah.
You don't have integrity, is what he is saying. What Satan is saying, isn't he?
The friend is saying what Satan is
I
saying.
think he is. Satan said, "Oh yeah, skin for skin. Take everything he has. I'm going to curse you to your face." And what is this? What is the life that saying? It's come to you, and you're impatient. It touches you, and you're dismayed. Is not your fear of God your confidence, and the integrity of your ways your hope?
Yeah, where do you get
That
all
meant
this
to
from?
comfort him?
He's rebuking him.
Yeah, I know.
He's saying no. It's you've lost hope. And that's the first thing that he basically says to him. And you have no integrity. And he just starts off there. Wow, this is the guy that you want to come talk to you.
Yeah, really. You want him at your bedside.
Yeah,
He's scolding you almost like a parent.
he is scolding him.
Yeah.
And the next verses 7 through 11, he's basically saying innocent people don't suffer. He says, remember now, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the upright destroyed? So he's saying, obviously, you are not innocent. This wouldn't happen if you were. This is basically 7 through 11. You're not innocent. He says, according to what I've seen, those who plow iniquity and those who sow trouble harvest it. By the breath of God they perish, and by the blast of his anger they come to an end. I've seen sinners get justice for their actions. That's what basically we're saying. Sinners get this. The roaring of the lion and the voice of the fierce lion and the teeth of the young lion are broken, and the lion perishes for lack of prey, and the whelps of the lioness are scattered. Basically, if you were innocent, you would not be attacked. You're getting what you deserve. That's what he's saying. You are not innocent. You're getting what you deserve. 12 through, let's turn the page, 12 through 21. Man. Let me tell you, this guy is saying some stuff. Now a word was brought to me stealthily. This is still alive, fast talking. And my ear received a whisper of it. Amid disquieting thoughts from the visions of the night, when the deep sleep falls on men. What is he saying?
So he had vision.
My vision, and it's not just any vision. What is the vision?
A spirit asked
Mm-hmm. So who's he saying is the one that is giving him the
God.
vision? God told me. What did he tell you? He's telling me that you're a sinner, basically. That's what he's saying.
Well, it's basically telling that all men sin. Who can be just, who can be pure.
Right. He says, yeah. I think it's incredible arrogance. Dread came upon me and trembling and made all my bones shake. Then a spirit passed by my face. I was so terrified when I got this. The spirit came to me. The hair of my flesh bristled up. It stood still, but I could not discern its appearance. A form was before my eyes. There was silence, and then I heard a voice. Can mankind be just before God? Can a man be pure before his maker? What did God say in chapter 1 and in chapter 2?
Have you considered my servant Job? He's blameless. He's upright. He fears God. He's righteous.
Plus R, he's righteous. This is a lie. And then he goes on to verse 18. God puts no trust even in his servants, and against his angels he charges error. Well, gosh,
Only the fallen ones.
wow. You know, that's the kind of God I want to serve, right? So what is he trying to say? How much more those who dwell in houses of clay? He's talking about men. A house of clay is a human being whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed before the moth. Between morning and evening, they are broken in pieces. Unobserved, they perish forever. Is not their tent cord plucked up within them? They die, yet without wisdom. Man, that's the guy you want to come tell you you're doing okay.
For a pep talk.
Yeah, that's a pep talk.
This was a friend, right?
Yeah, this is his friend. This is the oldest, the wisest one.
The wisest friend.
So what's the false teaching here? False teaching that he says man cannot be righteous. That's the first one. Angels are not trustworthy. Sorry, this thing is squeaky. And not only angels not being trustworthy, servants, what does he say about them? Servants are what? Not trustworthy. So men can't be righteous, angels are not trustworthy, servants are not trustworthy, and against his angels he charges error. Angels are wrong. See, if he'd said fallen angels would be okay, but that's flat out arrogance to say that. And so, how much more those who dwell in houses of clay? This is all false teaching. Men are just broken clay. You expect too much of yourself. That's what he's trying to say. The Bible Knowledge Commentary said, a life as sees people's mortality in several ways. They live in perishable clay, houses built on dust. They are crushed easily like a moth. They're broken to pieces like a clay vessel. Their 10th cord is pulled up within them, so that they die without wisdom, and the ultimate disaster of Eastern culture is to die in a shameful way. This would be shameful, what he's doing. Then we get to chapter 5. You know, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? You kind of think one chapter is enough, and then you find out he's got more to say. I'm going to move backwards. You know, it's like when I was first studying this and going through all this, and I've been through all 4 of his commentaries and comments that he had to say. And I just think, you know, golly, gee whiz, buddy, I don't think I want you to be my friend. I would be like, all righty, here we go. How did you title this chapter? Anybody come up with a
I forgot to
title?
write it down.
I did too.
I did the other ones and forgot to write this one down.
I titled it, It's You, Job. You're the problem. That's what Eliphaz is saying.
What'd you title 4?
Oh, 4, I titled, okay.
Versus is funny.
I titled
No.
4 as Eliphaz answers Job. He just starts the answer. And then he explains what the answer is, which is, it's you. You're the problem. You are the problem. Call now. Is there anyone who will answer you? And to which of the holy ones will you turn? So he's saying, no angel's going to help you. And then he goes on to say, you are a fool. For anger slays the foolish man, and jealousy kills the simple. I have seen the foolish taking root, and I cursed his abode immediately. His sons are far from safety. They are even oppressing the gate, and there is no deliverer. His harvest the hungry devour, and take it to a place of thorns, and the schemer is eager for their wealth, for the affliction does not come from the dust, nor does trouble sprout from the ground. For man is born for trouble as sparks fly upward. He is basically saying, no one can help you because you're in the wrong. You know, if I ever had a problem, please don't send this guy. You are a fool. Angels can't even help you. And he's saying, you cannot escape what? You cannot escape the problems. I think in a way he's basically saying, you know, all this time you've been doing pretty okay. Now, how old is Job? He's in his 40s, right? All this time you've been doing okay. Can't get away from it now. boy, the chickens have come home to roost. That's basically what he's saying. And then he has this incredibly touching verses 8 through 16. Man, I tell you, here we go. 8 through 16. Can anybody summarize what he's saying there?
But look at me.
Well, he's defending God. He's praising God for his omnipotence and justice.
Right. Seek God.
I would seek God.
Yeah.
I would place my cause before God.
Yep.
Really?
I mean, didn't he just say over here that angels are not trustworthy? Angels are wrong. Men are just broken clay. Why would and God told me you're a sinner, so you better start looking to God. But that's what he told me. Start trusting, seek God. And then he goes on to say, he does great and unsearchable things, wonders without number. He gives rain on the earth and sends water on the fields. So that he sets on high those who are lowly, and those who mourn are lifted to safety. He frustrates the plotting of the shrewd, so that their hands cannot attain success. He captures the wise by their own shrewdness. What is he saying there? Seek God because he judges the sinner. And you must be in sin because the advice of the cunning is quickly thwarted. He is insulting the wisdom that Job has been giving to men. He is insulting it. He says, by day they meet with darkness and grope at noon as in the night. But he saves from the sword of their mouth and the poor from the hand of the mighty. So the helpless has hope and the unrighteous must shut its mouth. Who is he telling to be quiet? Yeah. He judges the sinner. You need to be quiet. That's a stunning thing to say. And then he goes on and he says it's wonderful 17 through 27. And when I think about what's going on here, when I think about what he's saying, like, I hope I have never been this arrogant with anybody. I can't remember anything I did that would be this incredibly stupid, but I'm not saying it hadn't happened, okay? He's basically saying what in these verses? If you could summarize them, how would you describe it?
Well, he's basically saying that his suffering is God's punishment for the sin in his life.
Exactly.
But Job should not despise the discipline because
Should be
correction
happy.
is good for you.
You would feel better if you just repented. Get it off your chest. That's what he's saying.
I just feel like he doesn't know Job at all.
What he's saying is that everything that Job has done has been false. It's worse than saying he doesn't know it. He's actually saying he's not approaching Job from the start as a man of integrity. Because when he sees him, this is the problem. We look at a circumstance of somebody and assume that they must be in sin. And it happens every day in church. I wonder what they did.
Well,
It
we
is,
had
that's a
that
question.
conversation not too long. People are hesitant to walk to the front to pray at the end of the service
Because somebody will
everyone will think, what's going on with her? What's wrong in her life?
What is wrong?
Yeah.
Instead of recognizing what a humble thing that is to do, how completely dependent you are on God to publicly display your difficulty in front of other people. that should be encouraged.
Well, if you talk to Varsity Pittman, it will be, because she is God's cheerleader.
Yeah.
I'm kidding you, she is God's
But
biggest cheerleader.
but
But
that's
she
true.
says, when they stand up there and say, we invite you to come down to the front to pray with the people who are stationed here who would love to pray with you, Marcy's like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Everybody should be rushing down there. to pray.
Exactly. Exactly.
Good.
Listen, I'm in a leadership position in my church. It's very difficult for me to do that
Yeah.
for the very reasons that we're talking about. Because somebody says, I wonder what's going on in her life. That,
You go, oh, wow, what
you know,
happened now?
She's a worship leader in a church, she
Yeah.
teaches the Bible. What could possibly be going on?
Hmm.
What does that, whatever we're called to do, is God's empowering us to do it. It does not mean that we do this without any difficulties or issues in our life.
You know, at our church, they quit doing it in front. And now they say, we're gonna be in the back of the church and there'll be other people for you, that you can talk.
Yeah, this gets
And that really bothers me.
Kind of like if you want to pray,
Because-
it's got to be a secret or something.
Well, it's sort of like, well, we're gonna make you more comfortable by what you're saying. Well, if you're sitting up front, you're not gonna be turning around to look to see who's
if you're
back
sitting in
there.
the front and you need prayer, you're not going to walk back either.
That's true.
You know.
I don't know. I sit all the way in the back of the auditorium and I.
So when I got
It takes
saved,
you a while to get up there.
you'd be running like, wait, here it comes. No, when I got saved, I didn't know any of these rules. I didn't know that it was a big deal. I had no idea. I'd never really been in a church. And so I walked down to the front.
Oh, so you were a front runner.
I walked down there because it says anybody need prayer. And I was like, yeah, my life sucks. I'm gonna go down there. So I walked down there and they said, Are you a Christian? Do you know who Jesus is? And I said, Easter and Christmas. I know who Jesus is. It's Easter and Christmas. I mean, that's who he is, Easter and Christmas. I had no concept that there was something about that was so incredibly special. And then I got saved and I kept thinking, I went to that church for several years and I kept thinking, why aren't people running down there? I mean, because I didn't know that it was like, oh, if you run down there, then you might be professing that there's something wrong with your life. We live
There is something wrong with my.
in a body that is not divine. We are not in the presence of God. We live I explain to people in the prison the difference between me and Jesus is I have a dual nature. Jesus had a dual nature, but it was sinless. He was fully God and fully man. The man part of him had not been corrupted by sin, so there's no internal conflict. But I have a sin nature and the divine nature of God that are at war with each other. And that's why we struggle with sin, because sometimes sin wants to win and sometimes our divine nature is not in charge. That's why we need prayer. That's why we need the book of Job. That's why we need to recognize that God uses those things to make us more like him. And really the rest of the study from this point forward needs to be about, if you had the book that asks you about how you deal with people and how you deal with problems. I don't know what the easy book is like, but we should be asking ourselves, is this how I want to handle a situation with somebody who's in crisis? How do I deal with people in crisis? And it's a big part of
So
this.
it seems to me like this friend is showing a little bit of pleasure in the problems they have.
I didn't write that down, but that would be true.
You know what I mean?
So-
Like, at least that's not me. Look at all that's happening to you. You must have really.
Yeah.
Really knows something.
Well, listening to everything here, it's almost like he was relishing the thought that finally
Yes.
Job knows what it is to suffer.
He's taken a little bit of pleasure.
Yes.
When, he should be more compassionate, more whatever. It's just a little bit of.
But he
And
fulfilled
more
that.
superior
He-
because it's happened to Job and not him.
Well, and they did mourn for 7 days.
Mhm.
You know, they did fulfill the obligation.
And that's what it was, an obligation, because it wasn't true in his heart, but
That's
he
right.
was mourning. He's probably thought for 7 days, I'm gonna let him have it.
I mean, there's gotta be something going on with that.
And also in present day, the truth is sometimes when there's something happens in your church, something happens with people, you know, there are people saying, oh, well, at least it wasn't me. I wouldn't put myself in that. I would have done this. And we ought not to do that.
Maybe he was jealous.
Oh, absolutely,
Probably, yes.
absolutely.
Well, I
Yes.
mean, what's not to be jealous of? He
Yeah.
had the perfect family, the perfect life. He was rich, he was respected, he was blessed by God, you know.
And isn't that a shame?
He was
Isn't that a
greater
shame
than
that
all
that's how
men.
people look at it?
That's how people look at it. Yeah.
And it is jealous.
It's jealousy.
And he says at the end of this, he says, you're gonna feel better. Be glad God's disciplining you. Man, be happy about that. Be glad about that. You'll feel better if you repent because God is disciplining you. Boy, I need to get it less squeaky. God's disciplining you. And then he says, I just can't believe he is saying this. Behold this, the last verse. We have investigated it, and so it is. Hear it and know for yourself. What is he saying? All the stuff that you just talked about is because we have examined the reason you're suffering, and you better listen to us because you're in sin. They have actually said, God is disciplining you, and we checked out your behavior, and you are in sin. Basically, admit you're a sinner. That's all we want you to do, dude. Confess. That's what he said. Now remember, we'll get here, make sure I didn't miss anything in my little
I
notes.
want to rise up and slap somebody.
I'm telling you.
You know what I mean?
Right.
No, Whitney, please don't. Somebody who said that to me. We've investigated you
Mhm.
and we know you.
Is this a royal we or just among us four people here?
Yeah, the royal we, okay.
And
So,
with these friends, who needs enemies?
yeah, that's exactly. I'm looking to see.
I won't slap.
And I wrote these verses. There are 5. I just wrote these down because I thought they were important. A life has a saying, "You are a fool." In 6:2, you are suffering anguish because you're a fool. And then he says in 10:17, which I agree with, you're angry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm angry at you. And then in 17:17, only because I've gotten that far, he says, don't you recognize that you are in grief? Yes. And you see, when people say that you're in grief, what are they actually saying?
Feeling sorry for yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Where were these?
Oh, in chapter 5, chapter 6,
Okay, you
chapter
said
10.
something about Isaiah and I went,
Oh,
Let me see.
I didn't mean to say Isaiah if I did.
6:17.
6:17, 6:2, 17:17. 5:2, 6:2,
And so.
10:17, and 17:17. These are the 4 major things that Eliphaz is trying to say about Job throughout his discourse with him. And then when you get the notes, I broke down a lot the 3 groups of themes that are in there, and I'm not going to go through them because you guys will get that, but just to kind of help you to know what is being said here. So if we were going to, I need to give these to Kay so she can send them out. If we were going to explain this, what we have seen in these 5 chapters, how would this set the tone for what we're studying? How would this set the tone for what we are studying? Because the first 2 chapters tell us what?
What Satan's doing.
What God is doing, what Satan's doing, right? And their
And who
motivation.
Job is.
Huh?
And who Job is.
And who Job is.
And then you're looking at his quote unquote friend's interpretation.
And now we're seeing what man says, what mankind, these men say. And they are basing, do you think they're religious men?
No.
What are they?
They're each,
Huh?
they know about God, but they're from their background is, they're all from different places.
But I think
Self-righteous.
I think they're using their own rules of interpretation. This is the way I interpret the rule. This is
Right.
my ruler.
So, you know,
Men who are wise in their own estimation.
yes, I don't even know if they're worshipers of God or worshipers
Okay,
of
so-
idols or.
So they're worshipers of God. Okay. This, so I think I'd said this to you, and I can't remember if I told you this or not, but the age that Job lived to, that's why historians believe that he was before or during the time of Abraham.
Right.
So, and I think that is accurate, that he was. And when you look at what is being said here, I start to realize that these guys have their, so God, if you think about how God presented himself to men before the covenant of Abraham, he just appeared to men in a variety of ways. Job, I believe, was a Jew, but there was no Jewish nation at this point.
Well, he couldn't have been a Jew because there wasn't a
Jew,
Jewish
Shem,
nation.
Ham, and Japheth, if he came from Shem, the line of Shem,
Yeah, yeah.
which is the line that became the Jewish line. So I
You
think
think he came from Shem?
I think he did, but I don't know. Okay, I'm just saying that because the strength of his faith, the kind of faith that he
I have
had.
no doubt that he is a believer.
Right.
But
And so it fits into the concept of the foundation of the line of Abraham, which became the line of the Jew, well, became the Jewish people. So I'm thinking he's in that group, but I don't know. You know, in any commentary. I
Wasn't he
have to
from the same area where Abraham came from us?
He was in that same area. So yes, did you write it down?
From you, us.
Us,
Yeah, from us.
Yeah.
So from that same area, but we don't know if he knew Abraham. We don't know if he was before Abraham. And we just don't know, but he's in that time era. That's what.
Did we discuss, and y'all may have said it and I missed it, I tried to find it, did we discuss, we're not really sure who wrote Job?
I think it was the youngest of the 4 men
Okay,
because it is very first person.
okay.
You know, it could have been written later, like some people said Ezra wrote it, some people thought
And-
Moses wrote it, stuff like that. But the problem I have with that is that when they have written other books of the Bible, it was not first person.
Okay,
I said, you said, he said, she said, kind of stuff. Very, very, very personal. And so I think it was probably the youngest one. And when I'm just starting to study him,
okay.
What was
And-
his name?
I'd have to look it up. Elihu.
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 How do you spell it?
Eliju.
Elihu, I think.
Hu.
Leave
So
me alone.
I'm just saying that this was probably around Genesis 10, 11. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Genesis, end of Genesis 11 is when Abram is called out of Ur of the Chaldees, right? And then Genesis 12, God sent them into the promise.
You know what this?
So you're saying the time frame is the same as that?
I think it's in the beginning, maybe Genesis 10, Genesis 11. Yes.
What this reminds me of a little bit was Job and his friends. It's validating why God picked Job, but it's also showing us why he did not pick the friends.
Right. That's right. That's
You're
very
right about
wise.
that.
And I just gotta say, I'm glad that we're not a bunch of young people in here taking this class together, because I really believe this is a class for mature people. I mean
Yes.
that. I mean that because I
I
think
agree
that,
with- Because nowadays, there's so much, well, if he is, I wouldn't want to worship a God who allows this to happen.
right.
You know, they don't understand.
They're all about social justice.
Yeah, well, that book, Why We Think the Way We Do, I started reading.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
What'd you think of it?
So far, it's really good.
Yeah.
What, tell me, you know the author?
Why You Think the Way You Do by Glenn Sunshine.
Glenn.
Glenn Sunshine. He's a historian. And I'm taking I don't know if you've heard of the Colson Fellows program. I'm taking the Colson Fellows program through my church, and that's one of the books that we had to read.
What I find
What was he
interesting
saying?
in my
What?
family.
Glenn Sunshine.
Say
I
it again.
find interesting in my family, and there's 20 years difference between you and
Sunshine.
Sunshine.
We all think.
He's really.
Yeah.
Why You Think
And
the
we
Way
all
You
have
Do.
different experiences of what I see as good and positive. A couple of my siblings go, how could you say that positive?
Right, exactly. It is such a big deal. How we think and what we think and what we do. It is a really, really big deal.
We only need to get you out because
We do, because
I know.
I am the chaplain today. I've been the chaplain for Monday, Tuesday,